Sunlits, we're back again, and this week's episode is going to be all about Eurovision. This week we have a special guest joining us. He narrated Eurovision for a few years, and also the Oscar ceremony on the Latvian First program. I think that's how you say it in English. And
Latvian
now,
Eurovision.
yeah, and thank you. And now he has his own sort of late evening show. Kārlis Streips, thank you for joining us.
I'm very happy to be here.
And today with me also Anna. And,
Hi.
well, how have you been feeling this time? Anything new happen?
No, life is life. During the coronavirus situation, I have lost all of my translating clients because those are mostly PR and advertising agencies, and they've lost their clients, so I've lost them as translating clients, but I'm hanging in there.
Anna, what about you?
So for me, I just finished the school's learning, so this should be my last day of school and the last day of bell. So yeah, school is mostly over, just having an exams, and yeah, nothing has changed. And for you,
That's
Nick?
nice. Well, I tried to pluck my eyebrows, and I think they're uneven, but they look okay. So I think we can just jump into the questions about Eurovision. So first of all, how did it feel to narrate Eurovision?
Well, the first year that I narrated Eurovision was in 1999, the year before Latvia actually took part, so that people in Latvia could see what it was and watch the voting without taking place. The very next year, Prātavātra, or Brainstorm, went to the Eurovision Song Contest and got third place, so that was very exciting. And I did it for a total of 11 years. 2010 was 2009 or 2010 was the last year that I did it.
Nice. And what was the most interesting part of narrating Eurovision?
Basically, I would always talk a little bit about the country and the singer while they were showing the little video card. I never talked while people were singing, and I did not ever say what I thought of the songs. Terry Wogan, who was the legendary commentator in the UK, always used to say, "Oh, that song was awful," or "I liked that song," or something like that. Latvian television didn't allow me to do that, and I'm not a musician, so I couldn't have done that intelligently anyway. I had the songs that I liked, but just because I like them, not because they're, something outstanding.
No. And maybe you had any funny technical difficulties or something else compelling that was left behind the scenes?
I was always in a small room at Latvian television with a monitor and earphones. So if something went wrong, that was somewhere else, and I did not see it.
Well, that's cool. And have you been keeping up with Eurovision in these past years?
Not as much as I used to when I was actually doing it, but I'm on the Eurovision mailing list, so I keep track of the Latvian competition, and sometime before the Eurovision itself, I try to listen to most of the songs that have been submitted just out of personal interest if I have time to do that. Sometimes I don't.
No.
So, and which was your favorite year overall, or if you don't have favorite year, which was the least favorite, for example?
Well, hands down, the favorite year was 2003 when Maria Naumova won. As it happened on the night, I knew about 5 minutes in advance before the end of the vote that it was mathematically impossible for anybody else to catch her in the lead. So my audience and I could start celebrating about 5 minutes before Maria herself knew that she had won. So that was nice. I've enjoyed all of the Eurovision Song Contests. I mean, I've been disappointed the years when Latvia's entry has done poorly. I've been happy the years that Latvia's entry has done relatively well. I mean, a few years after Maria, Valsts and Kaša got 5th place with The War Is Not Over. Then a couple of times Latvia's acts got 16th place or 12th place or whatever. One thing about Maria, though, back in the day, countries which did, the countries that had the worst results from the previous 5 years were eliminated from next year's contest and could reapply the year after that or the year after that. That particular year, the year before, Agnes Magnus had completely tanked with his song called Too Much, and so Latvia was not supposed to take part in the 2003 contest, but Portugal pulled out, and Portugal's slot was given to us, and off she went, and she won, which was wonderful. Thank you, Portugal.
Was that also your favorite year for Latvia?
Well, it was certainly the best year for Latvia. That's no question about that.
Yeah, but was it your favorite, or is there maybe another year's song that you like from Latvia?
I usually like most of the songs that Latvians send. One thing that I've always thought is that Latvian musicians who want to sing in English ought to ask somebody who speaks English about how to pronounce what they are singing, and in some cases whether what they are singing makes sense. Aisha's song about Mr. God, you don't call God Mr. God, and it had some pretty iffy grammar in the song. And Aisha also looked like somebody had cut a hole into a tablecloth and draped it over her. That was an interesting costume. But, for example, I really liked Paris' song the year that they went with their little hip-hop song and they didn't get out of the semifinal. There were 6 years when Latvia did not get out of the semifinal. So that was disappointing. The year that Foamings and Flames went and sang Dziesma par laimi in Latvian, they looked like they had shopped at a hobo shop. And, of course, no one outside of Latvia understands Latvian, and so they tanked as well. So it happens. But, I mean, in more recent years, Aminata got 6th place, and then Just Zirmais got 15th place in the final, so we're sort of back. I really feel sorry for Samantatina because she's been trying so long to win the Latvian competition, and she finally did, and here we are.
Yeah, that was a bummer, sort of. And Latvia has had a different selection process since 2015 when the first supernova happened. That's the name of our song selection. I'm not talking about the event thingy where stars blow up. Anyway, have you seen any episodes of Supernova?
I have seen Supernova. Before Supernova, there was also a Latvian competition, which was always held in Ventspils for some reason, and I took part on stage a couple of times for those things.
Oh, how did those things feel? Because I have not heard about them. So, could you tell us?
The first year I was there, the hotel that they put me in, at 3 o'clock in the morning, many of the musicians were in the hallway making a big racket, and one of them was Andris Kivich, who is a scandalous type of person. So the next year when I went to that, I said, you're going to put me in some other hotel, not the one where all the musicians are, and so they did. So that worked well. It was fun. It was interesting to be there. Uģis Joks and Kristīna Virsnīte were the hosts of the evening. And that was, telephone calls decided the result, and half of the result, a jury decided the other half of the result. And being present live for the announcement of the votes was interesting and fun.
Yeah, I've never actually been to a live showing of Supernova or Eurovision. Anna, have you been?
No, I haven't been, but I want to see at least for some years. And you have probably heard that this year Eurovision is going to be a completely digital event because of the COVID. And what do you think? How's Eurovision Europe Shine a Light going to go?
Well, it's just going to be a concert. If I understand correctly, they're going to show the videos of all of the different songs. There will not be a competition. There will not be voting. So I guess that's the best that Eurovision can do. American Idol, which is a singing competition in the United States, has been doing it remotely. with each singer singing from a separate place, the host being in a separate place, the jury being in a separate place. That's one country and one competition. I would imagine that would be fairly difficult to pull off in the sense of the Eurovision Song Contest. So fingers crossed that by next year the virus will be over, and then countries will have to decide whether to send the same person who didn't get to go this year or have another competition. We will see.
And actually, I've read about this event. I'm going to tell a bit. It's gonna, I think, because the Eurovision Song Celebration was the music videos, they already show them, and in between the music videos they had like these segments. One of them was singing the song in native language, where Samantha sang the song in Latvian that she has in English, and also there was a segment where they had to choose their top 3 from Eurovision's other years. A lot of them chose Euphoria, Loreen, that's Sweden 2012, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the event. And now that we've talked quite a bit about Eurovision, I think we could switch the subject for a little while. And how have you been doing with this situation? Have you picked up any new hobbies?
During the coronavirus? No,
yeah.
my life has not been affected, except early on in the thing, there was a person who was in my apartment for business, and he was here on a Wednesday, and on Saturday the Disease Control Center called me and said, he's come down with the coronavirus, so you have to isolate yourself for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks I didn't do my television show. During those 2 weeks, though, and really every day, I do go out to buy something to eat for lunch. I know how to distance myself. I spend most of my time in this room anyway, working on translations and my television script and other things. So, you know, being alone here is nothing unusual for me. I have not had to change my life at all, really, because of this coronavirus. What I'm totally hoping is that air traffic will be back by June 25th, when I'm planning to go visit my sisters in Chicago, as I do every summer.
Oh. Yeah, that would be quite a curveball if it wasn't. Anna, what about you? Have you picked up any new hobbies?
To be honest, no, I'm just dealing with school. I really wanted to learn maybe some new language, but now I have so much things going on, so it's better for me not to. But about this COVID situation, I would say that for me, I would say as usual. I'm mostly, I think I'm an introvert person who would like stay at home, do the things that I should do. But for me, nothing has mostly changed. And for you?
For me, same. I go on walks, and since I have social anxiety, I like to keep my distance from people. So it's a plus, because now they have to keep a distance from me too. Yeah.
It works out for everybody.
Yes. 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe you have any book, movie, or TV series recommendations for this time?
Not really. I watch the same things that I always watch. The first thing I watch every evening on weekdays, there's a woman in America called Rachel Maddow, who is a very erudite and very liberal woman who has a doctorate in political science, and she does a show every night talking about issues of the day. I like to watch cooking competitions, Top Chef, and Worst Cooks in America, and things like that. You know, whatever happens to be available on the day, that's what I watch. I read a lot. I read physical books, no Kindle for me. And while I'm working, I listen to music, mostly classic rock, which is the music I grew up with.
Nana, what about you? Do you have any recommendations?
Yes, to be honest, I'm now just reading this book. It's about, can you see it? It's about World War II, and I'm really enjoying it. But movies, I haven't seen any. But I would love to see at least someone. If you have recommendations, I would check them out.
Oh, movie recommendations.
The last movie I saw in a cinema was Veseli Puteni, the Latvian World War I movie. That was wonderful.
Yeah. I'm totally
Our whole
agree.
school got to it. Yeah. I would recommend from movies, perhaps some classics. Because we're social distancing, we could watch Home Alone. Yeah, and basically I just recommend rewatching Eurovision. They're actually putting up the videos from older years on their YouTube channel, which is like Eurovision. You just search it on YouTube and boom, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have a certain year that was like the most favorite of yours.
I'll tell you what, when I was narrating the show, I was paying so much attention to the process that I don't really remember many of the songs that I heard. You know, the ones that stand out, there's a song called Genesis, which was sung by the guy from Cyprus sometime in the mid-1990s, which I've always really liked. I liked Alexander Rybak's Fairy Tale as sort of a happy song. There have been quite a few songs. Eurovision every year puts out an album of that year's music.
Yeah.
And you can find on the internet and download completely legally, of course. And so I listen to those sometimes and have certain favorites. The year that Eurovision was in Riga, the Austrian contestant, this very funny man, sang a song, Weil der Hart fällt, which was sort of a mix between rap and heavy metal and comedy, which was fun. That year, the Belgians sang in a language that they had made up themselves. That year, Latvia's entry, Fly, was in next to last place. Only Britain did more poorly, so thank you to Britain for doing that. And the contest in Riga was won by Turkey with a very Turkish-sounding song, and the next year there were 6 or 7 songs with a Turkish beat in the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah. Anna, do you have a favorite Eurovision year?
Yes, to be honest, I think that was the year when Aminata was competing and almost won. I think that was a really good year. Also, I saw that Aminata after that went to one contest where Russian singer Polina, she got, I think, the second place in that year. And when in that contest in Russia, when Aminata was competing, there was judges like voice. They didn't see her, they just heard her, and it was so funny because both of them were competing in Eurovision, and when Polina turned, she saw Aminata, and yeah. And after that, Polina was judged for Aminata, and they were doing really good, and they were happy that Latvian girl came to Russia to compete in this competition, even though they knew each other before.
Yeah, that's nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. For me, the favorite year would be probably the 2015 and also 2016. In 2016, I really loved Australia's the thing they had, because they had a lot of like graphics and the singer was just amazing. The song is called "The Sound of Silence." It's performed by Downey M. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but the song is called "Sound of Silence," and it's just amazing. I listen to it like at least once every month or even more.
I see. I seem to remember that there was another song called "The Sound of Silence," which was in the 1960s by Simon and Garfunkel. So I would guess that's not the same one. I saw a question on Facebook about why Israel and Australia participate. Israel mostly because Israel is close enough to Europe. There was a discussion for a while about Morocco taking place, also by virtue of being or Egypt, by being very close to Europe. In Australia's case, Australia was invited to participate in 2015, which was Eurovision's 50th concert, and they did so well that they've been asked back ever since.
Yeah. Maybe you have anything you'd want to tell our viewers and listeners.
Well, one thing that I've always noticed, people tend to think that the Eurovision Song Contest is just this bunch of kitsch and nothing serious. The year the contest was in Riga, I met all the people who were participating, and what I learned was that, generally speaking, dilettantes do not go to the Eurovision Song Contest. The woman who was representing France, her day job was singing all the female roles in French for all of the Disney movies in turn. The group from Slovenia had learned not just their song, but every song that was in the final, and could sing all of them in 4-part harmony. So these are talented people. Many of them are already well known at home. Here in Latvia, some of our biggest local stars have competed in the Latvian competition, and some of them have gone on to take part in the Eurovision Song Contest itself. How they do once they get there, that's a different issue. But generally speaking, people say, "Oh, I don't watch. I think it's boring." But on the night, especially when it's time for the voting, I think most people are in front of their television sets with their mobile phone. Vote, 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 vote.
Anna, do you have any conclusions about Eurovision?
I would say that people mostly, I think those countries who are not participating are afraid to watch it or think it's strange, but I encourage everyone to at least watch some songs. Maybe some of them are a bit strange or something like that, but I think at the end of the day, at least someone will have their favorite songs from Eurovision Song Contest, and I think in future it could be much more bigger, and the countries participating will be, I think, much more.
Yeah, but it's sort of controversial because if more countries participate, it's not really Eurovision anymore. It's more like World Vision.
I mean, from Australia, the rule is that the country has to be part of the European Broadcasting Organization, a dues-paying member of the European Broadcasting Organization, and so that doesn't apply really to anybody outside of Europe. But what Anna says is very true. I mean, you can find yourself a singer you didn't even know existed. And in this day of YouTube, you can find many other things that person sings. A recent discovery for me has been a man from Kazakhstan named Dimash Kudaibergen, who has a voice where he can sing everything from baritone to coloratura soprano. It is the most amazing thing I have ever seen. And most of the videos on YouTube of him are him competing in a singing competition in China. And he always goes way up into the upper registers when he sings. He ended up getting second place behind a Chinese girl, which I found remarkable, but he is just astonishing. Dimash Kudaibergen. I recommend him to one and all.
And what I can say about Eurovision is that if you think Eurovision is boring, you've probably never seen it. Because they have a lot of these segments. They're fun for two reasons. They're either cringy or they're actually funny. For example, my opinion, 2016's Eurovision, which was in Sweden, it was funny. It was very nice. Petra and Måns did a great job, and overall it was very nice. In 2017, I found the presenters a little bit cringy because they had these jokes that felt really forced. So you either get fun by actually laughing, or you cringe so much. And also you...
The year Eurovision was in Latvia, Marija Naumova and Renārs Kaupers from Prāta Vētra were the two hosts, and they did a very good job.
Yeah.
I thought.
They looked well. If I remember correctly, they had like some nice fashion going on.
Yes, fur coats and... Yes, they did.
Yeah, it looked very nice. I remember it was sort of aesthetic. And also on the Eurovision YouTube channel, you can find behind-the-scenes videos, messages from the people who are performing, and just a lot of content that they make. Well, in the past years, they used to make before the competition, but even now when there's like the competition not going on, they still have these home concerts where they're just performing their songs acoustically or even covers, and the videos are just so great. I'm such a fan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every year the finalists travel from country to country in advance of the competition to present their songs and hope that they'll find new fans. The year that Eurovision was in Riga, for some reason, Swedish television invited me to come and broadcast the final of their competition for a Latvian audience. And I was there with a friend, a Swedish Latvian friend. They had not given me any script. So, and I don't speak Swedish, so while they were going on, you know, I could say things like, "Oh, look at that guy on the stage! I saw him at the hotel this morning for breakfast. He was eating eggs." So that was different.
Yeah. So in general, Eurovision is just an experience, a great experience, and I think everyone should experience it. I've used this word so many times, but that's just what it is. It's an experience. Everyone finds something of their own in Eurovision. And so the event, Europe Shine a Light, will take place on 16th May. It's going to be on at 9 p.m. Central European summertime, which is like 10 o'clock for Latvia, I think, 10 p.m. Yeah.
Yes.
And you can find it on the Eurovision YouTube channel. And if you want to check the songs out right now that are from this year, again, check the YouTube channel and look for more Eurovision content. And I think that's about it for today. Maybe you have any last goodbyes or something.
Just to say that in 1974, the Portuguese song, when it started in the final, that was a signal for Portuguese people to hold a revolution and overthrow their government. That kind of thing happens too.
So Eurovision can cause a revolution.
Yes.
Let it revolutionize your mind. Thank you for watching Sunlit, and we'll see you next Friday, again, at 5 p.m. Latvia time. Thank you. See you.